Hello, this is Carl from Inferno Hawk Entertainment. I just wanted to do a quick development update. It's been a little while. So as you may have heard, we did a Kickstarter campaign and fortunately fell flat on our faces and failed. There was some good and bad from the takeaways there. I knew that my crowd that I brought with me was rather small because I'm the kind of guy that sits home and programs all day instead of taking a lot of time to be social and build a crowd. Working on that and hope to do better with that in the future. But in the interim, we did learn some really good news, which is our conversion rate for the campaign was 13.5%. Conversion rates are often seen to be really good in many areas if they're above 2%. 5 is often like phenomenal. And when you start getting into 10, 11, 12, 13%, even for Kickstarters, those are really great conversion rates. What I really need to do is build my fan base and crowd, and I will do well with this game. So thank you for your support if you're one of the backers following up and checking out the video here. So let's go ahead and get to it. What I've been working on since the campaign is the level editor. I want this game to be where anything that I can build, you can build. So this is a work in progress. There's lots of things that are clunky. I'm going to go ahead and start a new level here. I get a slider bar. I'm not sure how big the levels are going to be allowed to be. Right now I'm setting it at some kind of what I think is a reasonable limit. A 50 by 50 grid is just gigantic. I'll give you an example of a kind of a smaller grid and you'll see how big it really is. You can make it have multiple levels. Right now I'm just going to keep it at 1 for simplicity, but I'm imagining a regular level might have 3 tiers to it if you so desire as you're making it, and then there'll be multiple tile sets. I'll probably move that elsewhere, but for now it's on the screen. So let's go ahead and create a new level. So here we go. Here's a new level. I'm just panning around with my mouse, and I can zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. As you see in the bottom left, we have a blue indicator for where the player is facing, and right now in the bottom left in the preview window you can't see anything. So I'm going to press on this carve button in the upper left, and I'm just going to begin carving, and I've implemented something I call a smart carve, which is it tries to go ahead and guess where you might want walls and pillars and things to be as you carve out. And sometimes, as you see, there's a little pillar left here. Maybe you don't want that. So you just kind of keep holding the left button down and keep carving. It'll keep refining the shape. In some instances, let me do a little room over here, you might end up with pillars in the middle, and that's kind of an attractive thing in these kind of games where the light and the shading might work out to your advantage in that case. As I said, there are some bugs in this, so in some cases if I have to duplicate myself, please forgive me. So I do want this to be a very GUI, what you see is what you get kind of editor. As you zoom in here, you'll notice this really is the game level loaded. This isn't a 2D representation that's tricking you. And in the bottom left there's a preview window. If I press the camera icon, I can go ahead and toggle to full screen, and I can walk around in this level already. This is a real 3D level. This is what what you see is what you get. I'm gonna toggle back. There is an artificial skylight to make your overhead editing more pleasurable, but you can turn that off so that you can get a sense for, again, we'll go full screen here, kind of what this dungeon atmosphere is really going to feel like. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go back overhead, turn the skylight back on. Now imagine you go, well, that's nice, but that was way too dark. So I'm going to go to my square inspector, and you'll notice here in the upper right, this is a little buggy right now, but the intended usage here, selected square, X2, Y2, and Z is how deep the dungeon is, and because it starts from the top of 0, we're on the top level right now. So you'll also notice that these walls and pillars and floors and ceilings become lit up or not lit up very much in line with where I'm clicking in the dungeon. So in square 220 we have a wall, a pillar, a wall, and a pillar, and it actually considers one of these pillars on the edges to be part of a different square. So in any case, I want to put a torch on one of these walls, so I'm just going to click on the bigger part, and this is the square inspector, and I'm going to say, well, I want this to have an appropriate light for this tile set. And then there you go. Look at that. It's placed an actual torch. The sound is playing. Hopefully that's coming through on the audio. And I'll move my guy around, and sure enough, there's a torch. And I'll go full screen and turn off the overhead light. And now we have pretty sexy dungeon lights. So once again, back in edit mode. So we might decide we're gonna, make a, oh, let's show you how big this was. I did kind of brag about that. So, I didn't make it gigantic, but it is, even only about maybe less than half of the potential dungeon size, only on one floor level, results in a fairly good sized dungeon. When you take it out to 50 by 50, it's a really solid chunk. I might make it bigger, but then the bigger the level is, you start running into like performance problems potentially on lower end machines. We'll see. And then, but certainly it's a longer load times in between levels. So you have to make a decision, like, do we want levels to load quickly, or do we want levels to be potentially really big? So you see, as I'm talking here, I'm just kind of building out a little bit of a level. So let's say I had decided, this little room right here, it's just not what I was going for. I'm going to pick my solid block tool, going to wipe it out, go back to my regular carve tool, and it'll just fix up that raw edge. I might try to make it so that this block tool automatically fixes edges for you. I'm a little torn on that. If you have feedback, let me know. But essentially, there could be situations where you use the block tool and you're going to do some specific things with the inspectors, and having it in a smart fashion figure out what those walls could be counterintuitive to you. I did put this smart check mark that maybe is going to be something you could toggle that functionality off and on, but I'd really like to hear from you and say, hey, no, that's a great idea, or yeah, that's clunky. This game's for you too, so let me know how you feel. Now, so let's zoom back in here where the player is at. Just using my mouse wheel here. And let's add in a door right here. So I'm going to activate this wall with that check mark. Going to inspect the wall and tell them that there is a door at this location. And there's secret walls and different things. We'll get into that more probably in another video. I don't want this to go too long. So as you see here, the door is in the game already. And there you go. It already works. And then finally, what I wanted to show off is this very much work in progress, but I really want, again, drag and drop, what you see, what you get. The first item I'm adding in here is the monsters, and just dragged in a skeleton, and I'm going to drag in a servant of Dagon, and as you see, they're already in the game. They're walking around. That could actually be a problem if they come up and start killing your character. So at the moment, I have a pause function. Because that happened to me. What I'd really like to do, and this isn't done yet, I would like to make it so that you can have the gameplay paused, and then make it so that each time you press play, it resets back to the default state. So that's where we're at. I did a lot of work to refactor this and make it simple. Make it what you see is what you get. There are other features. There's traps and triggers and fireball shooters and all sorts of cool stuff. I'd like to demo that at another time when it's a little bit easier to use. Also, you have to manually put in IDs. I guess I'll show you just so you'll have something to compare. So let's say I wanted to put a wall shooter here. Well, up here at the top there's a trigger ID. So if you were to place a trigger on the floor when the snake guy steps here, a fireball will shoot out of the wall. It has to have an ID tied to it, but I want my editor to handle that for you. So unless there's a really specific case that you care to put the ID in, that this editor will just handle it for you. I think that's much easier to use. Alright, well that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Leave comments, let me know what you like. If you want to see any improvements, make sure to follow me for further updates, and thanks for watching.